Hello friends, this is Monica. Welcome to my channel, Release Your Life. Here is a place that I like to talk about ways that we can literally release the cables that are holding our lives back, holding us down from the inside out. I like to talk about situations and behaviors that we engage in the world that sometimes just don't serve us today. They may have been useful in the past, but they're the kind of thing that slow us down now and hold us back. And usually I like to focus on the things that are really calls coming from inside the house. So because those are the easiest things to fix. Those are the key things that we actually can have an impact on trying to change them. So tonight, what I want to do is talk about anger or sadness, or in fact, any emotion that we can take to real extremes, and where we find those extremes are not necessarily where we want to be, right? When I get so angry that I'm just raging at a person or a situation, I am totally out of control. I am off the chain, and it is impossible for anybody to step in and help because there is no safe space around me. I will flame your eyebrows off. So that is not helpful, right? It keeps people from helping me when I'm in that state. And it keeps me from helping myself because if I'm out of control with rage, then I'm not doing anything productive. All of my energy is going into venting that rage. So nothing's getting better while I'm in that state. If I want something to get better and I want it to get better fast, I got to change that, right? I have to make it possible for change to happen. And if I'm in an outrage, I'm not leaving space for anything but the venting. So it's a great way to drive people away who might want to help. It's a great way to slow down the process of moving through whatever the problem is. The same thing is true of tremendous sadness as an alternative emotion to talk about. If I am wallowing in depression and I'm just flailing around and venting, oh, woe is me, basically, and it's not because of a chemical imbalance in my brain that literally makes my brain non-functional in that state. It's just because I'm indulging in a pity party, right? If that's where you land sometimes, if you're like me, it's an easy way to just sort of blow the whole day on finding ways to distract myself, which means I'm not getting anything useful done. I'm not doing anything useful for myself. I'm not doing anything useful for anybody else. It's hard to be productive at work when I'm in that state. It's hard to be productive on my own. These kinds of things really do a hard job on my sense of integrity, right? That I'm not taking care of myself well beats up my integrity. That I'm not fulfilling my job responsibilities, if that's going on, that tears me up. So it's not a good place for me to be. And yet I'll dive in and just dig hard into that wallowing, the same way I might dig hard into venting some anger. So it doesn't matter what spectrum of emotion I'm on. If I'm dysregulated in that state, I'm not being functional. I'm allowing the emotion to carry me too far past the point of usefulness. I firmly believe that every emotion exists. It's a natural experience, and they exist for a reason, right? Every emotion exists for a reason. That means every emotion has some value. The value is lost when we take it to extremes. When we become non-functional in our expression of an emotion, that we've gone beyond useful. If we won't even allow ourselves to get into a mode, if we stuff it so low that we won't allow ourselves to respond at all, then we're violating the rule that says, hey, that emotion has validity. Let's address it, right? So if I'm going to stay in that zone where I'm feeling an emotion, but I'm not getting carried away by it, then I'm in a place where I can do something useful in response to the emotion. And that's what our emotions are for. They're signals that tell us, hey, something needs to happen, something needs to change. We're trying to bring something to conscious awareness so that we can address it and fix it and go on with a happy life. So there are 5 habits that are really questions that I ask myself when I'm in an emotional state and I don't want to fly off the handle, or I feel myself, I'm already off the handle, and I want to bring myself back, get myself back into a more regulated state so that I can do something useful with whatever that emotion is. So the first thing that's necessary is to pause. And once I have paused and taken a breath and said, okay, I recognize right now I'm off the chain, I'm out of control, I am overindulging whatever this emotion is, I can ask myself a set of questions. Question 1 is, what am I feeling? What am I really feeling? Sometimes anger is just the surface venting, the surface experience of fear. I'm afraid of something. Somebody just, nearly clipped the paint, took paint off the front of my car, right? Trying to make a right turn from the left lane. I could be furious at them and just rant and rave. But what's under that is fear, just the shock of, oh my God, they nearly hit me. I could have been killed by that, right? We're doing, 60 miles an hour up the freeway. I could have died, right? But I got to cover that angst and that terror by getting angry. So I'm going to be angry at them rather than allow myself to feel the fear of nearly getting killed by them. So I need to dig in, and instead of just getting into road rage, just recognize, hey, that just frightened me. That just scared me. It was a scary thing. Things are allowed to be scary just because, they are. It happens. Get it. Now that I know that that's what's going on, I can give myself some space and say, all right, I'm allowing myself. Yes, it's also valid. It is also valid to be angry at that person for what they just did. But I don't need to go off the chain. I do not need to get into a state of complete dysregulation just because of what they did. I'm not going to let their stupidity control my emotional state and dictate my emotional state. If I'm in control of my emotional state, then I'm not ranting and raving and being a mad woman. And neither is she. So I want to stay reasonably calm. And so the first thing I have to do is ask myself, what am I feeling? And then once I'm clear about that, I can ask myself, so what's my motive for pursuing the emotional expression, right? The venting of the emotion itself. If I am out of control, what's my motive in staying out of control once I realize I'm there? What am I getting out of it? Sometimes something's happened in the past that I've bottled up my anger about. And when I get angry at something that literally nearly kills me in the moment, the anger I express includes the anger from the previous event that I did not allow myself to process, that I did not allow myself to express. So then, that's a great way for stuff to just pile on. And we all know it's kind of a classic thing to talk about how in relationships, sometimes one party or the other will bring up all kinds of things that they're angry about that have nothing to do with the situation in the moment, right? But it's about a lot of stuff that's happened in the past that they still feel angry about, that they haven't properly expressed and that hasn't been properly dealt with. So I got to ask myself, what's my motive for staying in or diving deeper into the extreme of what I'm feeling and farther away from the useful spot that's more in the middle of the spectrum? Once I figure out my motive and I understand how dysregulated I am, I can ask myself, okay, so is this extreme position in the emotional range serving me? How is it serving me? And I can ask myself about my motive. How is that motive serving me? Are they serving me well? Are they bringing me to a good place? If not, then I need to ask myself, do I want to let them take me on a ride to a bad place, or do I want to get off that train? So usually I want to get off the train, right? May not be true for you, but for me, yeah, I don't like being out of control. So then I ask myself, question number 4? What do I really want out of the situation? What do I really want? If I'm flaming angry at some situation, sometimes it's about something that's happened in the past, and the person involved on the other side of the experience, or the people, the organization involved on the other side of the experience, is not even in my life anymore. But I'm still raging about it. Sometimes they are in my life. Either way, what do I want out of the situation? If it's somebody who's in my life, usually what I want is to be able to say to them, listen, I need this not to happen again, right? Let me find my part of the responsibility here, and I'm going to fix this. I really need you to engage with me on fixing whatever you see is your part in the experience, okay? Maybe the other person doesn't see anything that they have to do to help make right whatever went wrong. That's no reason for me not to try to repair my end, and I'm going to do my very best to fix up my contribution to whatever's got me blowing up or whatever's got me sinking into sorrow, okay? Once I've taken time to really think about what it is that I want in this process of venting this overactive, overexpressed sense of anger or sadness or fear or whatever, I get to focus on how am I going to accomplish what I want? How am I going to make the thing I really want come to pass? In the case of somebody cutting me off, what I really want is just to feel safe driving home, for heaven's sake, right? Maybe that means I get to try to be more attentive to what's happening on the road behind me. Like maybe I scan my rear view mirror a little more often, as well as look ahead farther than I usually do. Most of us drive in like a 20-foot bubble, you know? It's just me and my car and not a lot else. I like to drive with a wider perspective now. I don't always do it, but I try to. All right. And when I'm thoughtful about it, I really scan 2 and 3 and 4 cars ahead, and I try to check at least 2 cars behind, right? Not just the people 1, 2, 3 across right behind me in whatever lane I'm in, but you know, who's behind them and what's happening there. Just so that I can be aware. It helps me to know, you know what, I see somebody who's coming up that's zigzagging. I see people just sort of vibrating in the background. And sure enough, there's 2 teenagers chasing each other in hot rods. Yeah, okay, so you know what, bless y'all off the road, but in the meantime, I'm going to stay in the denser piece of traffic because they're aiming for where there's space. I don't want there to be space around me when they're coming up. And so I slide in. I try to get a little bit closer to other people. I might change a lane to do that. And whoosh, they go whipping by. And I just say, you know, when you take each other out, don't take anybody else with you, right? That's my blessing for them. So I try to figure out what can I do to address the true underlying situation that has got me into that flaring emotion. So once I figure out what I really want out of the situation and how I can go about accomplishing it from within myself, the last thing I ask myself is, who do I want to be? Who do I want to be? Who's my best self? My best self is never the person who's totally off the chain or totally down in the dumps and digging to get deeper, right? Or so fearful of life that I never want to leave home, right? I'm not any of those people. I like being the person who is always seeking the next joyful thing. That's my nature, actually. And I want to protect that nature. I want to go explore. I love discovering the next joyful thing. I love finding things that make me just explode in smiles and laughter and delight. And that person is not consumed with anger. That person is not overwrought with depression and sadness. That person is not forever beating themselves up about mistakes they made 10 years ago or yesterday, right? That person knows how to take the experience of the moment, learn something valuable from it, and move forward into the next joyful thing. So if that's the person I really want to be, gosh, when I connect with that, a lot of extreme emotion, whether it's up, down, or sideways, just fades. It just fades away, and I am back in my own center, and I love being there. So if this has been helpful for you, please leave me a comment and hit the like button so that the algorithm knows to present this information to other people who might be interested in it. And if you care to, please subscribe so you know when I come out with another video. I hope to dive into some of these topics a little more deeply. And of course, there's lots of other things that I hope to post videos about over time. And this way, if you tap the notify button after you hit subscribe, you'll be able to find out when I've got a new video coming. And if there's some aspect of this that you would like to talk about, I do some coaching. I have occasional availability, and so I'm going to put a link down below in the description where you can click that and schedule an appointment with me, and we can talk about whatever your situation is, and hopefully I can help you find some insight that you can take with you to do more and better toward being the ideal person you want to see yourself be. So until the next time, be well. And I look forward to catching up with you again. Thanks for watching.